Hello, everyone, and welcome to the iGaming Intelligence Podcast. This is a part of our ongoing series where we bring you deep insights into the world of iGaming. We have got here Eduardo, who is our VP of AI product. So, Eduardo, happy to have you again today.
Thanks, Kate. It's a pleasure to be back again on the podcast.
And also, we have got a special guest, Michael Wallington, who is Chief Product and Technology Officer at Block Assets. So, Michael, happy to have you today. Tell us a bit more about yourself.
Hey guys, yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for the invite today. Really looking forward to the podcast. So I'm Michael Wallington, CPTO over at Block Asset. I've been in the iGaming space now for over 10 years and been involved in some major projects for some of the big sportsbook and casino operators across the world, mostly European based, but now moved into the Web3 space. And yeah, I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the podcast.
That sounds so exciting. Thank you. So, in this episode, we are going to explore how technology and innovation are driving change in the iGaming sector. So, let's dive into the exciting discussion and hear out our guests' insights. Eduardo, let's start probably with you. So, we've been talking a lot about AI, but what do you think might be the single biggest change AI has already driven in online casinos and sports books nowadays?
Well, that's a good question. It's an interesting one because a lot of people think that AI is relatively new, like since ChatGPT came into the spotlight. But actually, we have been working with machine learning rather, for quite some years now. And it's already being the work that we've done with some of our customers has already leveraged that. So it might be, I mean, essentially it's in pattern recognition, whether it's predictive churn models or working on KYC, basically able to spot recurring trends and then being able to trigger something, some sort of action, let's call it that. But we've also worked on diffusion models and image recognition as well. So that's, if I were to say one part within the sort of overall umbrella of AI, probably machine learning has been, let's call it, that's the oldest one so far, that I think we can say that with quite some confidence.
Yeah, and Michael, based on what you observe within different operators, are they mature enough to start using these AI models, on everyday practice, or usually it's all about just piloting them on POC level? How do you see?
hmm Yes, it's a great question. I think there's like a different level of maturity across different operators right now. Um, Also with AI continuously evolving, like there are new tools with AI that operators are adopting, they're piloting, but some of the more mature operators who are embedding AI into the whole workflow is really exciting. So I think one of the first spaces was probably marketing and CRM. So as Ed mentioned, where operators are using predictive churn modeling. They're also figuring out with CRM when's the best time to contact the player, using the results of previous contacts and previous activity on site to then predict when is the best time to give this player a bonus, when is the best time to not give the customer a bonus. So yeah, I think there's different levels of maturity at the moment, and I think it's quite fragmented right now. Like we're using different AI tools in different parts of the businesses in different processes. And I think we're going to start moving to like a more mature world with AI where operators are starting to think AI first and also embedding it across the player journey and across the operation as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting point there, Mike. We're seeing that as well with our customers, and they are on a kind of spectrum. We have people who are thinking
hmm
about it kind of internally, how to be more operationally efficient in the things that they do. And there are some which are thinking longer term, so they're thinking about how to be kind of more AI native
Yeah,
and recruitment as well. Like, what do we need? What are the kind of qualities that we need in new hires in
yeah,
that
yeah,
area?
absolutely. And we talk about it every day here at Block Asset, right? I wouldn't say we are AI first just yet, but we're on the transition to become AI first. And we are asking that question about our culture, our process, and the way we think and the way we communicate internally. There are times where we still fall back into this legacy mindset of, right, we want this new idea. Okay, the product manager needs to write the PRD. Yeah. But however,
Yeah.
the product manager is already using ChatGPT or some other model, to help with the PRD to, make it more efficient, to speed up the process of getting the requirements. Also, using LLMs to spot your blind spots, almost so that you don't miss a requirement. But then you can take it further, right? Can we use AI to design that product? Can we use AI to develop that product, and even launch and operate it and monitor it? And we are using in Block Asset like certain aspects of AI to help that product development roadmap. But like you say,
Yeah.
Ed, there's also other areas of the business like finance, like HR, marketing, operational teams. And I'm seeing in other operators where they are becoming more mature in terms
You
of how
know,
they embed AI.
you just made me think of something actually, because you and I are quite similar in our background. And we're both product people at heart, really. We're kind of
Yeah.
we work at that intersection of product and technology. And the people that I talk to in the industry, it feels like the product people are the ones that are really pushing ahead with using and incorporating AI into the work
Hmm.
that they do
Yeah,
at a fast pace. I mean, most of the ones I talk to are already vibe coding. They're
exactly.
using,
Yeah,
ChatGPT to think about, as you say, spotting the blind spots, to using deep research to go out there and do a lot of that grunt work that would have taken ages,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you
It's
think
really
back to,
exciting.
yeah,
It's super exciting. And, as you said, like being a product guy at heart and, most of my career spent in product, it's really great to see that the product management community is really embracing AI first. And there's some concerns from some sides of, is AI going to take all of our jobs? Is it going to automate everything? Do we need people anymore, or we're just going to have AI agents doing all of our tasks, right? But I can really see the product community embracing AI. And like you said, they're branching out now into coding. They're creating prototypes with AI. They're making it easier for designers and developers to understand what the vision
yeah,
is for a platform, what the vision is for a product or a feature. And that's really helping everyone come to understand like what the platform or the product is that we want to build and how it operates, because it's not just words on a piece of paper anymore.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
that
Sorry, Kate, just one last point. I like the thing that you talk about, the mindset, right?
Hmm.
That's so important. I can remember back in the day when we were working together, we would be thinking about product roadmaps that were like 6 months, 12 months out. That
Yeah.
just seems so insanely long now.
It does. It's
At
kind of
most,
crazy. Yeah. It's kind of
yeah.
crazy, right? Yeah.
I watched a podcast, an interview with the chief product officer from OpenAI. He says he has a kind of general idea of what's going to be launched in 3 months, and
Yeah.
a hazy idea of 6 months, but beyond that, no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The timeframes have certainly shortened in terms of planning, and people becoming a lot more agile these days. And we talked about agile, 10 years ago when we worked together, Ed. But this has become like agile on steroids now. Like,
Yeah,
and it's really being driven by the revolution of AI and how fast it's evolving. It's evolving so fast that I can't keep up with it. Like I must have like 10 to 50 newsletters about AI, all these different topics, new products, new features being released by all of the top tech companies in AI, and also a lot of startups as well, right? A lot of startups who are embracing AI with these new tools and platforms. So yeah, it's evolving fast. It means that you can't really plan too far ahead, because yeah, the world might change in a couple of months' time. But yeah, it's exciting. It's cool.
that's so interesting how it is shaping the way we are working nowadays. I really like how you shared about different perspectives, how it can be impacting the results of product work, the development,
Hmm.
design, and so on. But if to look at the user perspective, the player perspective, Michael, what do you think? What can AI help enhance, improve regarding the unique gaming narratives, betting experience for the players all over the world?
Yeah, that's a really good question and a really long answer that I'll need to try and make compact somehow. Um, let's take, I mean, maybe let's take casino first, like casino experience. So, like right now, we probably get like games recommendations when we log in to like most of the operators now are using some type of machine learning in the background. Either proprietary tech that they've built over some time, or they're using a well-known third party kind of off the shelf, and then they do an integration, then they pass it some data, then it predicts what games that these players might like, and then it passes it back, and then you get the same sort of gaming experience on the lobby where you choose what games to play, right? So I think we've had this for like a number of years now, and it's got better at making predictions. However, I think with AI, like we can take it to the next level. So I think we need to think kind of beyond just predicting what people like and showing them recommendations. I think understanding the actual real-time player experience based off the data and how the user interacts with the site is something that is still kind of untapped and it's still immature. But basically, I think AI can like help people like maybe in game, like where they're playing games, they're maybe not enjoying this specific game because they've gone on, let's say, like a big losing run. But it can in real time maybe give that player a real time bonus on a different game and like try your luck with something else. And I think the real time aspect of it, we're still kind of in our infancy, let's say, as an industry when it comes to casino. I think one of the topic that Ed and I spoke about a few weeks back, which was really interesting, was almost like this co-pilot concept that we're seeing everywhere with AI, right? So co-pilots help us like to complete a task. They can complete tasks really fast. They can make suggestions to us. And right now, when you use, let's say, a sports book, so let's switch to sports book for a moment. Um, I've been using one or two specific sports books that I won't name right now, but they're the top two sports books in the UK, and the interface hasn't really changed in the last 15 or 20 years, right? So you open the app, you land on a homepage, and it has some content. If you're lucky, it's personalized to you, but most sports books don't personalize the content to you. Um, and the two sports books that I've been using have started to integrate like personalized experience with personalized offers and personalized sports for me. But what I would like to see is, again, for sports books to take it to the next level. Um, I log on every Saturday to place a bet. I still bet, by the way, like very small amounts. But it's more for an engaging, experience, so I can follow my team and I can cheer them on even more if I win, which I don't often. So don't follow me. Don't tell my bets.
Who do you
So you,
support,
you
Mike?
won't win. I think you can tell by my accent, but I support Liverpool. Yeah, team in the world. Yeah, Liverpool FC. Right. There's only two teams in Liverpool: Liverpool
Yeah,
FC
yeah,
and
yeah.
Liverpool
Well done.
Reserves. That's it. Right. Anyway, I have to get that in. But yeah,
Nice one.
I have the same behavior, and they still can't predict it after being on these two sites for the last 15 years. Right. Every Saturday or Sunday, my team play. I open the same app. I go to football. I go to Premier League. I go to Liverpool. I go to Bet Builder, and I usually pick the same players to do the same things and place the same amount, right? So, with AI, like if AI has the context of me, my behavior, the current events, and it can predict pretty easily like what I'm probably going to bet on or make suggestions to me, then like one, why is that not being sent to me in a notification when I'm off the site? And two, when I actually open the app organically, why is that not just the first thing that I see ready to bet and make it super seamless for me? So I think the user experience, we've got a long way to go, and we've finally got the technology that can enable these type of experiences.
Yeah, I'll just you've left the door wide open there for me to talk about the kind of conversational
Yes.
co-pilots we were discussing a couple of weeks ago. And that's actually something our team have been building into our Bet Harmony product. So it works. There's a lot of kind of structured data that we can capture, and that's not new. That's the operators have been capturing structured data for a long time. If
Hmm.
you're able to capture some good contextual data that feeds then into, let's call it the co-pilot, then
Yeah.
you can quite easily, quite readily have a scenario where it welcomes you with your dashboard in the morning and says,
Hmm.
yeah, Liverpool, they had a good run in the last couple of weeks. I don't know. I haven't been following it, but let's just assume they
Well,
have.
we just won the league, so yeah, we had a
Oh,
pretty
well,
good one. Yeah, we had
there
a
you
pretty
go.
good one.
Nothing wrong with that then. But it'll tie you up and then say, listen, I see you've been interested in betting, doing some player props on XB, A, B, and C, and
Hmm.
that's rate something and say, this is really awesome. This parlay here might really get you interested, right? So
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that we're moving towards, which moves
Yeah.
away from the kind of search-based model into
Hmm.
a more of let's call it a tell and ask model.
Yeah.
So it can be much more proactive. So it's interesting to see that
Definitely. Yeah.
you're talking about. I think that's kind of where it's
Definitely.
going.
I think also just to add to that, which yeah, you're absolutely right. This co-pilot idea, it can talk to anyone around the world, and it's in their own language and even their own dialect as well, right? So even me
Yeah,
as a Scouser from Liverpool, right? They could talk the co-pilot can talk in my dialect, yeah.
yeah.
Whereas someone on the other the other side of the world can be, speaking Spanish in a local Latin American market, and it doesn't really matter what you're interested in, as long as it's got the context, like the real-time context about that specific player, about that specific day, what sport and events are available to them, and it can add that extra layer of insight as well in real time in your language on the things that you're interested in. That is like hyper personalization that we're not really touching on just yet as an industry.
I had a very interesting virtual water cooler chat with somebody about, I'm going to call it a personal context vault. And it's a place where you store all of this information that's totally relevant to you. You control
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. It could be what shoe size you are, what brands of running shoes you like. It could be your football team. It could be a whole bunch of key things. Obviously your address. Um, and that way, whenever you're talking to a chat-based LLM, you
oh
can
nice.
authorize it to go and reach
Get
into
your
your
PCV.
personal, yeah, your PCV, exactly. And then you can get it to actually do it, right? So
I love that.
you could say, I'm looking for a Gore-Tex jacket under 100 that's going to ship in less than 3 days to me in my size. Off you go.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Now
I
Eduardo,
love
imagine
it.
that for sports betting as well. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't
That'll
it?
be pretty awesome. Yeah.
Eduardo, don't you think that with this hyper personalization, when AI knows about you quite a lot of everything from different perspectives, it's easy to make it as kind of misusing. I mean, there could be some
Well,
ethical red lines for operators not to cross around just because they want to impact the player's behavior. What do you think?
it's not so much there could be, there are ethical guidelines, right? So, whatever solution you're building, whether it's an AI one or not, it needs to be adherent to whatever governance or regulations you have in place for any industry that we work in pharma, life sciences, as well as gambling. But so,
Yeah.
yeah, just because it's something new and in working in the kind of AI construct doesn't mean that you lower your guard and you
Yeah.
ignore your responsible gambling guidelines, etc. So you still
Hmm.
need to do all that stuff, but it empowers you to do a lot more that you couldn't do. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the guardrails and the governance are there, for a reason. And just because we have AI doesn't mean that we break those guardrails, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michael, I really like how you were speaking about agile on steroids and all the technologies that are way too advanced in such a short period of time. So it's quite impossible to have a look into far future, but it's always intriguing. So if to imagine saying 2 years from today, what might be the biggest change that AI can impact on sports books?
That is a great question. That's a really, really good question. I think for sportsbook specifically with AI, I think one we'll see like an explosion of like more things to bet on because with AI we can process more data. We can also generate like more markets that were traditionally created like by trading teams. But these algorithms can now actually, create a lot more markets and a lot more betting opportunities for customers. I think also with real time, like this is kind of coupled as well, but with real time, with live streaming and with micro betting, I think these are the areas that we can offer players more engaging experiences. So, it's a match, it's live, there's something really interesting happening in the game. We're taking that data in real time with low latency, we're taking it into a feed. We can even generate new markets with guardrails, as we mentioned before. Guardrails are not just for regulatory and compliance, but they're also for business operations as well. So we may be able to set limits automatically on that specific market, depending on the risk of the market or the liability that the operator is willing to take. And then I think also from the results of previous markets and even previous AI-driven markets, we would then see, continuous A/B testing and around the parameters of the operator. So the parameters might be, we want to take this much liability, we're trying to aim for a 3% margin. And the AI combined with almost like AI A/B testing is trying to like curate new markets that are driving the outcomes for the business. So we're not doing anything. I don't think anyone's doing any of that just yet. But in 2 or 3
No.
years' time, I think that might just become commonplace when it comes to sports trading.
So we might be sitting with our XR glasses, watching something on the screen, and just see an in-screen
Oh,
micro
yeah.
betting thing just pop up and say, is Ronaldo going to score in the next 5 minutes?
Yeah, I like, Ronaldo's like, he's just won a penalty and he stepped over the ball, right? Before he does his like silly, we
Tap
see
to
like a
bet.
prompt, yeah, like real time
Yeah.
odds. Um, you know, Meta are working with Ray-Ban, as we know, on these smart glasses at the moment.
Mhm.
Google had their moment with Google Glass, but it's all coming back, right? So I think, when we get the technology that's powerful enough, it's quick enough, it's cheap enough, the battery lasts long enough, and we have these virtual interfaces, then I could imagine a world where I'm sat on the sofa watching the game,
You know
and
what?
Mo Salah stood over the ball ready to take the penalty, and I can place a real time bet by just like viewing the odds button and confirming with my eyes. You know, I can see that
Or
happening in the future.
I see you got your earpods in, right? That's another thing. Obviously, you might have some privacy, but you might find that it just gets prompted by audio. So you got your
Exactly.
earpods in, you're watching the game, and it just says, "Hey, want to bet a fiver on this one?"
Yeah.
And you just go,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
I don't even think you will talk, right? I think you'll just put your thumb up like this. You'll have a
yeah,
signal to
yeah."
confirm things. Yeah. I was in a taxi in Dubai. Like I went for a holiday in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and I'd never seen this before. Maybe it's been around for a while, but it was one of these new cars, like 2025 model. And the taxi driver was basically controlling all of the entertainment system with his hand. So he was just moving his finger to higher the volume, to switch
Gesture control.
tracks on the audio, just gesture control. It was absolutely awesome. And I thought, wow, like in a gambling world, if you want to like, hit on the blackjack to get another card or put your hand up to stop,
Makes me think though of
this,
the comedies in auctions where someone just goes to scratch their head and suddenly
yeah, it's like, oh no, I don't want another card. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's going to have to go through like, a lot of testing, but I do see a world where gestures and computer vision play a part in the gambling experience for sure.
yeah.
And what other emerging technologies might have a really great synergy with AI in iGaming, except for what you have already just mentioned?
If you're
Ed, do you
asking
want
me,
to take this? Yeah.
yeah, well, if you're asking me, there's a lot of push now into different devices, right? Different ways of interacting. We use the phone, and the phone really hasn't changed for quite a long time. Um, Quite recently, like within the last 2 weeks, Johnny Ives's company was purchased by OpenAI. He specializes in product design. I mean, this is a guy that helped design some of the best well-known Apple products. So I think we're going to see something quite interesting come over there. So it's an evolution of the phone into something that's like a companion. Think about
Hmm.
a physical co-pilot that stays with you. Is it going to be a watch? Is it going to be earbuds or something else? Maybe glasses. I'm not sure, but I do think we're seeing some evolutions in those areas. And at the big Google conference a couple of weeks ago, the I/O event, they also launched their new XR glasses, which look pretty awesome.
Hmm.
So they're definitely pushing into those areas. There'll be different use cases. You know, you have the goggles, which are good for some things, but I think glasses and the augmented reality stuff, there's a lot that could be done over there.
Hmm. It's kind of amazing to think that it's 18 years since the iPhone was announced, by Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Like the smartphone era, we've been in, we it's been nearly 2 decades now where we're using smartphones. And I wonder, maybe a question for you, Ed, like, are we coming towards the end of the smartphone era, do you think, with this
Well,
explosion of new
yeah,
technology and
yeah,
AI?
I wouldn't even call it a phone anymore. In fact, on my phone icon is not even on my home screen anymore.
Yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
use it. I actually can't remember when I last made a phone call.
yeah.
I think I use WhatsApp, Telegram more than anything else.
Hmm. It's also
Um,
like the keyboard as well, right? Like, we're using the keyboard on the smartphone less and less. Like my
yeah, and
daughter's
I
my
use
16, and it used to drive me a little bit crazy that she wouldn't reply to my message by text, because she just
audio.
uses voice for everything. Yeah. Everything is
Yeah,
like audio and
it's
voice controlled now.
same for me.
And yeah, you're seeing this more and more with new
I've been
generations, Gen
using the
Z.
kind of live chat on Gemini a lot more, and also with Google. But when I'm walking up to the gym, it's not easy to walk and type, right?
True.
You could fall down a hole, especially where I live here. There's all sorts of wild and crazy terrain that I have to walk over to get to the gym. So I just use voice mode, and I can just start talking to it, and it's
Yeah.
so good.
I think it's
Yeah,
like it's so much faster than it used to be, right?
yeah.
It's so good at processing now. It's so good at replying and responding, and the accuracy of actually what you say has got, tenfold better than what it first was when it first broke out. So yeah, definitely, I can agree with that.
Yeah, and everything is evolving so fast. Michael, you are an expert in Web3, so we couldn't skip this one as well. So speaking about the evolving evolution of the technology, so how do you see wallet UX evolving, and can AI make Web3 wallets seamless enough for mainstream gamblers?
Yeah, I think with wallets and Web3, it's quite interesting actually. It's a really great question, and it's a complex topic because, like, wallet for Web3 is super important to the end user, right? One of the main reasons for like Web3 and why people choose Web3 is to have control of their finances, right? So they have self-custodial responsibility of everything that they own in their wallet. So there is, no specific single body that sits in between you and me making a transaction, right? Because it's fully autonomous. It's built with smart contracts, and we have all of the technology on blockchain, like proof of stake, um, that will be used by the validators to actually process these transactions. So with wallets, the wallet interface, I think, is a really interesting space, um, because it is quite fragmented. Like, there are many wallet providers, there are many chains that have their own wallet interfaces. And for example, I think I have like 6 or 7 different wallets today, and they all behave differently. They have different features, and they all interact either with one chain or they interact with multi-chain. So I think because blockchain and the wallet interface has, let's say, only recently, in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, really started to develop. It's gone off in very different directions from like different communities, and I do think it will converge. So it's diverged, and I think it will converge into a multi-chain wallet where you have one single wallet that interfaces to all chains with all tokens, with NFTs, and other like smart contracts as well that live around it. And then the same for the web apps as well, right? So you use your wallet, for example, to log in to different decentralized apps and websites. But again, because it's so fragmented, you have different wallets that you use to log into different sites. So I can see a convergence happening in the next few years. And again, in a similar way to AI and where AI is today, we have all these different companies who are developing all these different LLMs and all these different AI tools. I actually think, again, it will converge. There will be M&A activity. We're already seeing M&A activity. Meta's just bought one of the AI companies. I think it was Super AI. Was it, Ed? Super AI? For $15 billion recently, like this week, it was announced. Yeah. So I think we will see some convergence in terms of the wallet, because right now the UX is very fragmented, having to use different apps, different wallets to log into different sites. And I would personally like, as a consumer of the Web3 wallet, to see it converge so that it's less frustrating. I don't have to open one wallet app and go, oh, actually, I need to use the Solana wallet. I need to close this. I need to go into Phantom. And then I need to go to my Binance because I'm using my Binance for my spot trading and my future trading, right? So yeah, I'd like to see it converge. And I think the winners will emerge when they actually deliver single seamless wallet.
Thank you so much. And probably the last question, except for the solving the issues with the wallets, the one that you've shared right now, what other problems within the traditional online casinos is Web3 trying to solve?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest problems that I've seen in my career across iGaming is around trust and transparency. So a great example of this, right, is RTP. So I lost count of how many customers I've seen complain about the RTP of a specific game, right? So let's say we have a game, a slot game, and it's set to 95%, right? So that's 95% return to player. Customers see that number and believe, if I bet $100 on this slot game, the minimum I'll walk away with is $95, right? But there's a chance that I'm going to win more, and that's the reason why people are playing these games in the first place. But there are many other factors like volatility that play into this. So the wins are not linear; they're volatile and they move. So you can go on a huge win streak, but then lose it all back, in another streak. So one of the big differences with Web3 is the transparency element, where we have provably fair systems. You can actually see all of the results of a particular slot game, and you can actually validate yourself as a customer the current RTP. There are other Web3 operators that are actually displaying live RTPs right now for their games. So this is split-second live RTP for every single slot that they have on site, right? So for example, if this slot is cold or hot because it's currently running at a 10% RTP, but the average RTP is normally 90%. It might be a good idea to actually play on that game because it's actually underpaying out at the moment. So it's due a win, right? You due quite a big win if it was a high volatile game. So I think the emergence of Web3, provably fair systems, and the transparency element around payouts for casino games is a really interesting subsector, let's say, of casino right now in Web3. So that's one example, let's say.
Great. I do feel there should be another podcast with you just to cover other examples too.
There's so many. There's so many. I think one of the, like, maybe one final example would just be withdrawals in general, right? So one of the biggest complaints about traditional Web 2 casinos and sportsbooks is the processing time of withdrawals, and customers want instant withdrawals. So the ability to like deposit really fast, withdraw really fast, and actually see it in your wallet like almost instantly is something that all Web3 operators kind of provide as like a foundation, I would say. If you don't have that in Web3, like, you will not survive. You need to have that. Otherwise, players will make the first deposit, make the first withdrawal, have a bad experience, and they won't come back. So yeah, setting a new standard for transactions for sure.
Great. Thank you, Michael, so much. It's been extremely interesting to listening to your thoughts, ideas, and your vision. Eduardo, thank you so much as well.
You're
So,
welcome.
it's great pleasure to hear your insights as an expert in the field, and we've touched some exciting topics, and I hope that you are walking away with a few new ideas and perspectives on the future of iGaming. As always, we're just getting started, so be sure to tune in for more episodes where we are going to dive deep into trends and technologies that are shaping nowadays the industry. Until next time, keep innovating, stay ahead of the game. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.